Okay, so we talked about in this lesson simple moving averages. So this is something, again, that it's not just a stock market thing, but anything that has to do with numbers and trends over time. It can sometimes be very difficult to see those trends actually, right? The stock market, again, this is the image we have of this like crazy jumping up and down graph, and you're like, how can I even predict what's going to happen? It's so all over the place. But again, we have this thing called a moving average, a simple moving average, that can smooth the data and make it easier to see the trend of what's going on. So what we're going to do here is we're going to learn how the simple moving average is calculated, as well as that, again, when we have simple moving averages graphed, they can indicate to us what to do, if we should buy or sell in the stock market. This is just one indication. Again, the stock market really is a gamble. There's methods like this you can use to hopefully make a better prediction, but it's not a guarantee that it's going to work out for you in the long run. So let's talk about this. So we have the closing prices for 10 consecutive days here. We want to calculate the 5-day SMAs. So again, what we're going to do is, this means we're going to take 5 days at a time for each average. So here's our first average. Our first average is of the first 5 days. Now, we know how to do an average, right? Again, this is, click on the wrong thing here. This is on your formula sheet. However, you have to understand how to do this, and I'm going to show you why in a second, a very common misconception. We know that an average is to add everything up and then divide by the number of days. So in this case, we're going to add these 5 numbers and then divide by 5 because it's a 5-day SMA. I could do a 10-day SMA. I would add the 10 numbers, then I would divide by 10. Here they're asking us to do a 5. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of cut this part out because I have to do the math myself here. But go ahead, please add the first 5 numbers, hit enter, and then divide by 5. Very carefully making sure that I don't mess up my numbers. Okay, and then divide by 5. Okay, so our first SMA, I got 35.22. Hoping I did that math right. 35.02, 35.01, 34.65, 36.09, 35.32. Awesome. So this is our first SMA. It was 5 days at a time. We added them. We hit enter and then divide by 5. Now, it is a moving average for a reason. What ends up happening is as I go to the next day, the 5 days move down 1, right? If this SMA right here would technically be if I was looking at this day, looking backwards 5 days total. When I move to the next day, now looking backwards 5 days, here's the chunk of 5 numbers that I'm going to take the average of now. So we're going to do it again. This is again why it's called a moving average. I took 5 numbers and then I went and I moved it down by 1. And now I'm taking the average of these 5 numbers. So let's do it again. I will ignore this one for now. You want to add these 5 numbers, hit enter, divide by 5. Okay, for the second one, I got 35.31. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to keep doing this. I'm going to show it one more time here. Then we again bump it down from there. Now we bump it down another day. So now we're going from 3 down to 7. 5 numbers at a time, add them and divide by 5. I want you to finish this up. You're going to end up with 5 averages you should have, right? Or 6? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I have 6 averages. So keep going. Finish the whole thing out here. And then we'll see and compare if we can do this. Again, each time we're moving it down 1 day until we've gone through all of the data. So once your last group, I can even actually do this here. We've got from 4 to 8, we've got from 5 to 9, and then we've got from 6 to 10. So hopefully you're understanding that. Go ahead and get the rest of your averages. Let's see, 35, where was I at? Okay, so we just did, now I need to do that one. 34.65 plus 36.09 plus 35.32 plus 35.50 plus 35.03 divided by 5. Okay, the blue one, so I got 35.32. Okay, and then I've got 36.09 plus 35.32 plus 35.50 plus 35.03 plus 35.79 divided by 5. This is the purple one, right? Yep. So 35.55. And then I've got yellow next. So we've got 35.32 plus 35.50 plus 35.03 plus 35.79 plus 37.07 divided by 5. 35.74, and the last one is black. 35.50 plus 35.03 plus 35.79 plus 37.07 plus 36.05 divided by 5. Okay, so here is all of the averages that I got. So again, it moves 1 day at a time, right? We take 5 days each time. We just move it through all of the data. Again, if you are on a day and you look at the stock market data and it says the 5-day moving average is this, what it actually is looking backwards in time, including today, the past 5 days. Yeah. So that's why we're kind of moving it down one by one, because we're looking backwards in time. So if you can notice, looking at our data here, I will say at this point, it's very possible that I missed a number somewhere, but this should be about right. I tried to be careful in plugging in. It's really easy to make these mistakes, and I was going kind of fast to make sure I fit all this in. So if you got something slightly different than me, it's possible that I just hit a number wrong. But that is the concept. Take 5 days, add them 5 at a time each time, and move it down one by one. So if you notice here, that this data really jumps quite a bit over 10 days. These are in the 35s, 34, we got 36, 35, 35, 35, 37, 36. It's jumping a lot, right? It's really choppy. Notice that these numbers are much closer together. All of these numbers are in the 35 range, right? So this is the point of doing an SMA, is to smooth the data so it's not so jumpy. If we were to plot these in a graph, it would be a much smoother graph than if I plotted these 10 days. So it's easier for us to see trends over time when the data is smoothed. So we are going to do this again. I'm not going to, from here, I'm not going to make you do that many. I think on the test, you'll end up doing 3 averages total. But we're going to try it one more time. I'm going to go ahead and write out these numbers this way. It might be easier for you to look at it like this. So it says calculate the 3-day SMAs. So again, just to clarify, because this is the very common misconception, there are 6 numbers here. People are going to want to do this and go, sweet, take the average of those 3 numbers, take the average of these 3 numbers. No, that is not how you do it. You take the average of 3 numbers now because it is a 3-day SMA, so we're doing 3 numbers at a time, and we bump it down 1. We take the average of those 3 numbers. Then bump it down again. Take the average of those 3 numbers. So what you should do is, here's your first average. Here's your second average. The next. And the next. You will have 4 total averages. Please go ahead and try this. Again, keeping in mind that since this is a 3-day average, you are going to add them, hit enter, and divide by 3 now, not 5. Go ahead and try it. Okay, so my first one should have been 55 plus 60 plus 62 divided by 3. First average should have been 59. I've got 60 plus 62 plus 48 divided by 3. Next average should have been 56.67. I've got 62 plus 48 plus 42 divided by 3. Next average should have been 50.67. And the last average, 48 plus 42 plus 49 divided by 3, should have been 46.33. So all 4 of those numbers are my answers, yeah? Now again, this still jumps around quite a bit. The more days that you take, the smoother the graph is going to look, which we're going to see on the next slide. So a 3-day SMA is still relatively choppy. If you have a 10-day SMA or a 20-day SMA, which they can do, the graph will be a lot smoother. The data will be closer together. But yeah, 3-day SMA is still going to be relatively choppy. So let's talk about how this is useful to us. So we see on a graph here, we have a 21-day SMA, the daily closing price, and the 7-day SMA. I know this is kind of a weird order to list these in. I had to fix this graph because the labels were wrong. The more days, the smoother the graph should be. So even if we didn't have these labels, we could know this would be the fewest number of days, which is correct. It's because it's the daily close. I guess you could think of that as a 1-day SMA. Then the purple has the next highest amount of days because it's still a little choppy. And then the orange is going to have the highest amount of days because it's very smooth. The more days, the smoother the graph looks. And again, we can see that there. So the question says the graph shows the closing prices for 30 consecutive trading days. It also charts the 7-day and 21-day simple moving averages. What signal might the graphs give an investor? So this is again on your formula sheet. You wrote this down. When it says what signal, what it's asking is, should I buy or sell? Yeah, that's the question that's being asked here. So you are going to buy when the fast goes over the slow. You are going to sell when the slow goes over the fast. So sell with the slow on top. Let's come back to the graph here and see what that means. So what we are focusing on is where they cross. Again, we talked about a crossover in the key terms. So ignore the daily close. It's there because that's the day-to-day data. We do want to look at that. But looking at the 2 averages, the 2 SMAs, where do they cross? Well, they cross right here pretty much on the 27th, yeah? So we're going to find those crossovers. On that day, me as an investor, I would know to buy or to sell. And here's how. After the crossover, you need to see which ends up on top. This is the 7-day right here, right? That's again the purple. And the 21-day ends up on bottom. That's the orange. What you need to determine is which is considered the slow and which is considered the fast. Again, we talked about this in the key term, just making sure it was there. The fast moving average has fewer days. Fast, fewer. The slow moving average has more days. That's because it's got a lot of data to go through, just like, whoa, it takes forever to get through all the data. Versus if I have fewer days, hey, now it's through an entirely new set of data. So between these two, the 7-day and the 21-day, which one would we consider the fast moving average? The 7-day, fast, fewer. So I'm going to go over here. The fast is on top after the crossover. The slow is on bottom. So looking back to the formula sheet, the fast is on top, the slow is on bottom. Should we buy or sell? We should buy stock on that day because the fast overtakes the slow. So our answer for this question is buy stock. So on that day, when I see those graphs cross, I'd be like, ooh, this is a good day to buy stock. The reason why is the slow moving average is going to start predicting the trend. We can see that the slow moving average bumped up. What that means is the price is going to continue to go higher, or at least based on the data that we have available, it looks like the price is going to continue to go higher. Because again, the slow moving average is going to start to predict what's going to happen. So I want to buy when it's at as low a price as possible. And so that indicates to me, hey, now's a good time to buy, because if the average is going up now, I'm going to want to buy when the price is low. So you're going to try this again. You're looking at two different dates here. What should an investor do on the 18th? And what about the 29th? So if you notice on those 2 days, on the 18th is right here. That's this crossover. And on the 29th, that's this crossover. What you need to do is, again, determine if it's the fast or slow on top, and then if you should buy or sell. So let's go ahead and try the 18th first. I'm going to break this down one more time, actually. We have the 5-day SMA and the 10-day SMA. We are, again, ignoring the graph of the daily close. So break this down. Between the 5-day and the 10-day, which is the fast and which is the slow? Fast is fewer. So 5-day is fast. 10-day is the slower graph. So what you want to do here is, again, look after the crossover. Ask yourself which ends up on top, the fast or the slow. And then, does that mean we should buy or we should sell? Go ahead and try it. Okay, so the slow ends up on top, right? This is my slow, is the purple. So if we look back to our formula sheet, we want to sell when the slow moving average overtakes the fast. Slow on top, sell. So on the 18th, on that day, I would sell my stock, because what's going to happen again, like I said, we are going to start seeing a downward trend when I have that crossing happen. Ooh, I kind of explained this a little bit weird than the last one. Yeah, I explained this a little bit weird. Sorry, the fast, I think I was saying the slow over here. The fast one is going to predict the trends quicker. Because again, the slow moving average is slow. It takes a while to predict those trends. So here, the fast came up. And so that told me the price is going to go up. I think I was saying the slow price. Here, the slow overtakes. So what this is going to tell me is, again, now that the fast is going downwards, we're going to see the prices dropping. We want to sell at as high a price as possible. So the fast is predicting the trends more. If the fast goes down, we need to sell. If the fast goes up, we need to buy. Okay, then on the 29th, now we can't really see what happens afterwards. This is the 29th. I'm going to write this in red, actually, so we associate it with the colors. We can't really see what happens afterwards, but we can kind of tell that it looks like the purple is going down, and then this is kind of blue. That's going to go up. It's kind of hard to tell, but we can kind of guess here. So on the 29th, once again, you need to ask yourself, is the fast going to be on top or the slow? And then should we buy or sell? So see what color is on top here. Should we buy or sell on that date? Okay, so the fast now is on top. So that means to buy. And again, that comes from your formula sheet. Buy stock when the fast overtakes the slow. Again, that fast moving average is going to predict our trends a bit quicker. And so we want to buy before the price starts to continue to go up. So I know it's kind of confusing. The key is really keeping straight which is the fast and which is the slow. Find the crossover and then just focus on which one ends up on top, if it's the fast or the slow. Again, slow on top, sell. Fast on top, buy.